So for me, if you're stuck in something, don't focus on the outcome, focus on what you are doing, what you are becoming. It was a dangerous place to go to. But my mom said to me, listen, no matter how a place is, as long as there are people there living and surviving, it can go there and survive.
When you look at the world today and how women are shaping the global view, what would you say to a young girl child watching you today?
I'm keen to understand how the human side will survive this AI era.
In the era of AI, you will still have a job if you train yourself to be relevant. And that's all that matters.
This is Yellow Talk. Hello everyone, welcome to Yellow Talk. If you're new here, Yellow Talk is a leadership podcast where we have conversation with different leaders to just unpack their insights. And today I'm not just alone in hosting this. I'm here with my colleague Giselle Wibabara. How are you, Giselle?
Very well.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
How is 2026 treating you?
I love it already. Looking forward to a lot more.
All right. So today we're going to have an interesting conversation with one of the leaders. He's an executive here at MTN. He's a CFO, acting CFO actually. He's an author actually, and it's something we're going to be unpacking today. His name is Dunstan Ayodele Stober. Welcome to Yellow Talk.
Thank you, David.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
All right, so let's dive into the conversation. Before these titles I just mentioned, I think you have something to share to let us know who were Dunstan before even writing this book we're going to discuss about, Joy Has Come Home.
Well, simply put, I would say Dunstan is that young, ambitious guy who always sets, high standards for himself and focusing more on who he's becoming and how he's turning to the person that he envisaged himself to be. So even before I wrote the book, I had an idea of who I want to become, and eventually, that led me to write the book because that's one part of the identity I wanted to build for myself.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, nice. That's very. That's how I was reading your book, and I must say you did a tremendous job.
Thank you.
If you haven't read this book, please get it for yourself. It's very important. And it led me to ask myself a few questions. So you talk about the 6 life lessons.
Yes.
And all of them are quite interesting. But my question is, can you maybe name 2 that really stood out for you?
Well, first, to talk about the book, I always like to say it's let me say it's a tribute, or let me say a testament to my mom.
Right.
Because, as a young boy growing up, I really, later on in life, I was able to understand the value of the lessons my mother taught me. And when I sat back looking at my life, where I came from, the humble beginnings to where I am, people always ask the question, how did you get there?
Right.
And that reflection led me to write the book, because it's all the things that my mother was teaching me when I was a young boy, some of which I resisted, that I realized later got me to where I am, and that's why I read the book. So if I have to pick from the 6 lessons, 2. One is put God first, because that's something my mother drilled with me, relentlessly every time. And I do remember when I started working, when I got my first job at KPMG, a painful lesson was I got my first paycheck and, happy coming home, showing her my paycheck, and she was like, you're not going to use any of that money. Because for us, the Bible says you should always sow your first seed. So all my money went to the church and, to do something good for the church, because she then taught me, if you take care of God's business, God will take care of your business. And I think everything I've earned or achieved after that, I always take it back to that lesson of being able to put God first in my finances. So in my family, God first. In my career, God first. In my business, God first. Everything I do, God first. So for me, that's the most important lesson I have, in the book.
Oh, that's quite interesting. And I love the fact that you put God first, and it's something that actually resonates with everything, not just with this book. And in the chapter where you talk about purpose and identity, I think you encourage people to understand who they are before focusing on what they do.
Yeah.
So my question is, how did you discover your own sense of purpose over the time?
So it's usually the easiest yardstick, and I also learned this from a pastor I used to listen to called Mike Murdock. You find what you want, would let's say your purpose, by finding out the thing that irritates you the most. And for me, what I would say, not irritated me the most per se, or what irritates me the most, but really it's the gap I see in other people. I always want, when I'm in a group or I'm in a team or I'm leading people, I like to see everybody being at the same level. So if you are working with me or you are doing anything with me and I find you're not realizing your potential or you're downplaying your abilities, that really irritates me. And that's why I decided to start writing, so I can share my idea, I can talk to people and get people to be able to believe in themselves, to be able to rise up to who you can be. And that's where I see my purpose, being able to lift people up. So most times people ask me when I leave a job, what's the most important thing I take away? I always tell them it's never about the EBITDA. Like for example, in Rwanda, we've turned around the company. We came from a loss last year to a profit in Q3, etc. But if I leave here, that's not what I take with me. Because 1 year down the line, somebody else will do better than that.
Absolutely.
But when I leave here, if at least one person in MTN Rwanda would say, my career got to a better level because I met Dunstan, that's what I would be the best thing for me. So it's how much am I impacting those I work with or those I meet.
I mean, to your point, Dunstan, I think you rightly put it. And when I look at, like you said, yes, there's the turnaround, but there's something that you always walk away with. And my question now comes to, there's someone who is working with you, or someone who's watching us today, and they feel stuck at some point. When you, either your career, sometime in your life, you get some point and you get stuck. What would you say to this person? What would you want them to remember?
Well, I'll go first to the first point of saying, wherever you're, whatever you're doing, try the first lesson of putting God first. And not necessarily, whatever that means for you. For me, probably being a Christian, it means God, it means putting Jesus first in everything I do. For somebody else, it might be something else.
Right.
But have that as the first principle. And then sometimes we feel we are stuck because we are chasing a goal. And
Absolutely.
At this particular time is the start of the year. Everybody starts writing their resolutions, their goals of what they want to achieve.
New year, new me.
New year, new me, all of that. And interestingly, in church on Sunday, the pastor mentioned something very funny. We all start off by setting goals and writing goals. By the time we get to March, all those resolutions are marching away from us. So, and that's why we feel stuck. So most of the thing I talk about, if you look at my post on LinkedIn, Medium, and a few other social media platforms, I talk about focusing on who you're becoming. Because sometimes when you chase your goals, it's not just about the goals, it's about who they make you become. And interestingly, so for example, today, if somebody mentions Dunstan, you know me as an author, an accountant. If I talk about Muhammad Ali, he's a boxer. It's who he is. And in every journey, you will have a setback. But if you focus on the system that you have of who you're becoming, it makes you stronger to overcome those setbacks, because you will understand that any journey in life has highs and lows. And you stick there even when you're in the low, because you're focusing on, and I use my son as well as an example. If he's focusing on becoming now a professional footballer, it goes through a lot of setbacks. But he knows my identity, I'm a professional footballer. So what do I do every day to become that person, irrespective of what the circumstances are. So for me, if you're stuck in something, don't focus on the outcome. Focus on what you're doing, what you're becoming. In my last post in LinkedIn, I talk about, the purpose of becoming. That's the most important thing.
All right. Yeah, that's really powerful. And so when I was preparing for this episode, I came across this survey online, and it says 72% of Gen Z nowadays they tend to have this work-life balance prioritized, comparing to just being paid. So many of them, they say they would rather choose space where they're flexible than just paycheck. So as someone who is talking about purpose, resilience, all this, and I think it's something you mentioned in your book, what advice would you give them for maybe a young person who's following us?
Well, interesting question, and of course we've talked a lot about, in different platforms, Gen Zs, the need for flexibility, the need for purpose. But sometimes these things become cliches and they are taken out of context. If you want to find your purpose, but the focus is all you, then you're not looking for your purpose. Because first of all, your purpose should be, what impact are you creating? And so for me, to the young people out there, it's, are you creating impact? Are you patient with yourself? Because sometimes I say this, especially to most of the young guys back home in Sierra Leone, where I come from. A guy will come out of university today, and in the next 6 months, he wants to become a CEO. It doesn't happen like that.
That's true.
You have to plant, you have to sow, you have to do the hard work, you have to be consistent. And sometimes we take these cliches, saying I need freedom, and lose the identity of being consistent. You're never going to achieve anything if you're not consistent. You cannot today, for example, if I want to say that again, when I look at write my book or what I want to do, I don't focus on I want to write a book. I want to have a system that I'm consistent with. Am I able to set aside 30 minutes every day to write? And if I set aside 30 minutes every day to write, that eventually will lead to a book, 2 books, 3 books a year, whatever that is. So for Gen Zs, if you don't have a system, you just want the freedom. Today you are doing this, tomorrow you are doing that. At the end of the day, you will move from Gen Z to Gen whatever, and you realize you've not achieved anything because you were never consistent. You never stuck with anything. So stick with something, be consistent, be persistent, and eventually you'll make the impact that you want to make. Of course, it's not about making, again, why I agree with them, the focus should not be how much money am I making. It's about how much difference am I making. Jim Quick says, focus on difference that you are making, not the dollar.
Yeah, actually very, very important. And David, I was actually thinking about, I also read one of the chapters on emotional intelligence. And when you look at today's world, Gen Z, to be more precise, I think we need a lot more of emotional intelligence.
Absolutely.
And that is something very critical in everything that we do. And one of your chapters actually talks about, I love that one of your chapters actually talks about emotional intelligence. And there's a point where you mention that you should not make decisions when your emotions are too high or maybe too low.
Yeah.
Maybe you correct me on that. Why is that so important? Why is that so important to have emotional intelligence, especially for the leaders today? Maybe you couple that with the Gen Zs and the generation today, and for the leaders. Why is emotional intelligence so important in decision making?
To your point, again, it comes back from one of the lessons I learned from my mom.
Right.
At critical junctures in my young life, maybe either deciding what I want to do in school or, deciding on whatever I needed to do. She made me understand that you should always be calm, you should always find your normal state before you decide. Because if you are too angry, you're gonna take a harsh decision. If you are too happy, even when you decide, a simple thing as if you want to go shopping. If you are very happy and you decide, okay, now I'm going to buy myself a laptop. You're going to buy the most expensive laptop that possibly you don't need because you are overly excited. So if when you are excited, make yourself calm down and decide. So if you're able to find what is your normal emotional state, that's the best place to make a decision. And like I said, it's not that only being when you're happy or when it's any extreme of the emotional spectrum. You should not be at the extreme when you decide. And for leaders, emotional intelligence for me means, again, it's not about me. It's about the team. It's about the other person. Am I listening correctly? Am I listening to the person to understand, or am I listening to respond? Am I able to read the body language of the person I'm working with and understand what state they are in? Am I able to empathize with them? Because as a leader, if you don't have emotional intelligence, then it becomes all about you. Then at some point in time, you come out to being selfish. But if you are able to moderate yourself by understanding who you're working with, reading their language, and also understanding yourself. Because for me, emotional intelligence also makes me understand at what stage should I be when I should not make a decision. What are the things that trigger me? So I'm able to walk away, not to make the wrong decision or not to take the wrong action. So if I know, for example, being in a meeting where somebody is shouting triggers me, if that starts happening, I begin to talk to myself, you need to calm down because something is coming that will be a disaster. So knowing yourself is emotional intelligence, and knowing how to interact with people and read their emotional state and react to that is emotional intelligence. And leadership is all about that. If you're going to lead people and you're not able to understand them, you're not going to lead properly.
Yeah. So, Dunstan, you can't talk about leadership without saying taking risk. And this brings me to a question I want to ask you. In your chapter where you talk about trusting the process and overcoming risk. So in this chapter, how do you know when to move forward and when to wait? Asking for myself and a friend maybe watching us.
I'll always circle back to the first lesson we talked about, putting God first. In every decision I've made, I need to have that inner peace and inner comfort after praying about it. And, God doesn't come down to talk to us, but all of us, I believe, will have different ways where we understand what God is communicating. Either it's through the peace you have or something unsettles you. Then you know this is not something you need to do. If there's too much doubt around it, then you know it's not something you need to do. But again, if I go back to the chapter you talked about taking risks, this book is very important for me and probably readers because, again, I go back to crediting my mom. Where I am today is because my mom taught me how to take risks. The first risk I ever took was leaving Sierra Leone for Nigeria. And I guarantee you, if I hadn't gone to Nigeria, I would never be where I am.
When was that?
This was back in 1996, 1997. And during that time, if you tell anybody you're going to Nigeria, it's almost as if you're going to a war zone. The news that was coming out of Nigeria was fatal armed robberies on a regular basis, kidnapping people for ritual killings. They had the height of the financial fraud, which they call 419. So it was a dangerous place to go to. My dad was like, there is no way you're going there with everything we are hearing. But my mom said to me, listen, no matter how a place is, as long as there are people there living and surviving, he can go there and survive.
Wow.
And that's why I was also able to go to Afghanistan. Because no many people will go to Afghanistan. But there are people in Afghanistan. There are people thriving there. So why can't you just go there and survive? Because again, sometimes in one of my writings, the post on LinkedIn, I talked about environment. Sometimes your environment matters.
Absolutely.
So when you're deciding, when you're taking a step or you're taking a risk, these are the things you need to consider. Am I putting God first? Is that environment the right place for me at this time? Will it make me thrive? And how do you determine that? So, and sometimes it's purely about God's feel, honestly. I will not be able to tell you there's a particular system, a formula. If you do 1 + 1, then this is when you decide. I've also learned most of the time to trust my gut feel more than logic. Because sometimes logic tells you different. But then in you feel that this is the right thing to do. And I always say, if you do something, if it doesn't work out, you don't lose. You learn a lesson of how not to do something. So in any case, you don't lose, even if it doesn't work out. So take the risk.
Take the risks. So there you have it, audience. Take the risks, and that also brings me to, I think, one of the. When I was also reading about the book, you talk a lot about empowerment and leadership. So leaders, please, you need to get this. And it also brings me to a question around growing yourself. You talk about you need to grow yourself before you can actually grow others or help others to grow. Can you maybe bring more context to that?
It comes from the simple thing of if you want to give somebody water, your cup has to be filled with water before you can give it to somebody.
Right.
So if you have nothing in you, what are you giving? So you have to develop yourself, you have to empower yourself, you have to grow yourself before you can share. And if I go back to the book, one very interesting, again, lesson my mother taught me that put a different spin to when the Bible says, give and it shall be given unto you. She said to me, it's not about giving money. If you give knowledge, you get knowledge. If you give money, you get money back. If you give trust, you get trust back. So if I want my team to trust me, I need to trust them first. Then they give that back to me. So to your point, it's about how do I become the person I want to become, so those around me can be better. That's what it's all about. Because again, if I want to empower somebody as simple as, let's say, to be a better accountant, but if I'm not a better accountant myself,
how are they going to learn?
It's not going to happen. So it's all about, you can only give what you have. You cannot give what you don't have. That's a simple formula for me.
Wow, I love that. So, Dunstan, let's bring this a bit home. I have this question: what does home mean to you personally? But before you answer,
because that's the name of the book also.
Before you answer that, we want to take a break, and then when we come back, you answer that. I know it's very interesting to hear that.
All right.
Yeah.
Welcome back. I hope you had a wonderful break. So if you're joining us today for the very first time, this is the Yellow podcast, the Yellow Talk, and we're here with Mr. Dunstan Stober, and we are particularly touching on this wonderful book. If you haven't bought this book, please, you need to get it. And just before we went for a break, we had a question for Dunstan. David, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I think I asked him, what does the word home mean to you personally?
Right. So before I answer that, I want to touch on something, because I know the question is coming from the title of the book, Joy Has Come Home. Again, I can never emphasize enough the strength of my mother, and for, young girls, ladies, mothers out there, please understand that the trajectory of your son rests on how well you lead them. This book is a perfect example of what my mom did for me. So the title came about from my name, actually, because my mom gave me the name Ayodele. Ayodele is a Yoruba word which means joy has come. Joy has come home, or joy has entered for the Yoruba audience. So I use that as the title of the book, because she gave me that name because from, when she conceived me, the journey she went through, the challenges she went through. So eventually, when I was born, she could only say, this is my joy has come, my joy has entered. So that's what Ayodele means. And that's why people think I'm too fussy about always putting Ayodele in my name. So if you write my name and you put Dunstan, I push it up and put Ayodele in the middle because it's very significant for me. And that's why the title of the book. But where is home for me? Again, you would ask that question because of the many places I've been. I think for me, home is where you feel comfortable, where you're at your best, where you make the most impact, and where you feel appreciated, not tolerated. Most of the times when I move, it's because I feel where I am at the moment, I'm not being appreciated, I'm being tolerated. I don't want to be tolerated.
You feel like you're home now?
I am home now. I feel very much at home because I feel that I'm appreciated. So those are the things for me. Where do you feel at your best? Where do you think you have the most emotional stability? It can be your physical home with your wife and kids. It can be anywhere else. And trust me, I've been in many places where I felt home. When I tell people this, it's difficult to understand. But even when I was in Kabul, I felt at home because of the way I was accepted, and in the last 2 days, you even saw me wear my Afghanistan attire because I felt at home. And that's what it means for me. I felt I was able to give my best. I felt I was being appreciated, and I could see the difference I was making. And that's home for me.
But so Giselle, I think we can, we're getting great insights from Dunstan. But let's switch things to now a fireside chat.
Because we don't want to kill it for the people who want to read the book. We don't
exactly,
want to
yeah. Make sure you read the book.
Yeah, definitely.
By the way, before we enter that, is it on, I saw it on Amazon.
It's on Amazon.
On Amazon. It's called Joy Has Come Home. So go find it by Dunstan Ayodele Stober. It's very interesting. So, Dunstan, I'm going to be, I've written down a few questions. Maybe Giselle will be helping me with that as well. And it's just a short question, then you answer, yeah. So if you were not a CFO or an author, what would you rather be doing?
Interesting question. I think I would have been in the business of training. And that's also because, again, I don't think, it's not a cliche, but I don't think I can think of or probably do things outside the lessons I've learned from my mom. I mean, when I look at, my mom was a teacher, and and that's why I said if I wasn't doing anything else, I would have been either a trainer, a coach, or what have you, just helping people realize their potential. Because even though my mom was a high school teacher, she did much more than being a high school teacher. As young as I was, I could see people coming back and say, you taught me a few years ago, but during school time, you told me this about life, you gave me these life lessons, and they made me succeed where I am. And that made me feel, I want to do that. I want to have that effect on people. So if I was not a CFO, I would have been a life coach, helping people, to go and realize their potential. And that I could have done through writing, through speaking, through whatever means.
Second question is, other than your own book, what other books influenced you?
I have one book that I came across late, but I always tell people, if you don't read any book, read this book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's 7 lessons of, timeless lessons. And that guides most of the things I do. Even in work, for example, I'll tell my team, sharpen your saw is something I really like to talk about. Because when we're doing our work, we say, I don't have time to research how to do it better, so let me do it. But you spend more time. So the example he gave was 2 different tree cutters. One had a dull axe and decided, it doesn't want to waste time to sharpen his saw. He would rather hit on the tree. The other guy said, let me spend 80% of the time sharpening the saw and finish cutting the tree in 20% of the time. Who is more efficient? The guy who prepares before. So 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is one of the books that influenced me. And the second one is the book by James Clear, Atomic Habits. Because one of the things I love that he said is, and we're talking about goals, setting goals, what have you. I like what he said. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems.
Wow.
So those 2 books are the books that I say, I don't let them out of my sight.
I mean, I think I'll definitely get, I need to read that one. I've read the 7 highly effective, but I have to.
Atomic Habits, you have to, it's a must.
I will definitely get it. And yeah.
So you spoke about people leveraging, like upskilling themselves, and reminded me of the Yellow Talk episode 2 we had with Enoch. He was speaking about future fit, and it's something people need, and it's very important. The third question is this one is quite funny. They say money fixes everything, but what's one money can't fix?
One thing
that surprised you.
One thing
money can't fix.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit of, I don't know, a cliche or being philosophical, but I do know for a fact money cannot fix happiness. Because it comes from inside. You have people who are very rich, but they are not happy.
Yeah.
Because you can have all the money in the world, but if you are greedy, you will never be happy. Have you seen, even if I take my childhood, when we were growing up, we are so happy playing football with, we take rags, we tie them with rope, no shoes on our feet, and we play soccer in a dusty field where they are the happiest. There was no money involved. We didn't have money then, but we're happy. Miles, you can have a guy who his parent can give him all the accessories, give him everything, and he's still not happy. So for me, I think one thing is happiness. It has to come from inside. I don't believe money can give you that.
Wow, I love that. I've been thinking it's so cliche, but coming from me, it's really so.
I think
coming from a CFO.
But a CFO, someone who handles money on a day-to-day basis.
And if you think about it deeply, I also believe if you're not happy, you can't make money. Because you're at your best, you're able to function at your best when you're happy, when you're relaxed, when you know you're comfortable. But if that is not coming from you, from inside, you're not gonna make money. So happiness, money cannot give you.
Wow, amazing. David, what I think Mr. Ayodele should get his own podcast, to be honest, because there's so much, to our audience, there's so much that he has to offer. I think you're here to attest that. And I want to give out a big shout out to your mother, because every lesson that has been mentioned here, everything has been about the mother. So mothers who are out there, the challenge is over to you. Be intentional about naming your children. That's true. I think I picked that as well.
Yeah. You have, at the start of the book, you can read. What is the first thing I said in the opening?
In the opening, it says...
It's from Abraham Lincoln. There, go back. Not this one. Where is it?
The one you said, I love you, Mama?
No. No, she knows I love her. This one.
Yeah, so for the introduction, when he was opening, he says, all that I am or hope to be, I owe to my angel mother.
And that's not from me. That's
from him.
That's Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah. If you look at Obama's book, what's it? Forgotten the title of Obama's book. Again, all credit to his mother because of the challenges he went through in life. So mothers, I encourage you, if you have sons, please, they need you. We always say, and if my dad is watching this, probably get jealous that I don't give him enough credit. But of course,
credit to mom.
For sons, I don't know. I have 2 daughters, but probably they will speak about maybe my influence on them. But for sons, what I see is, even with my son now, maybe because, I go out a lot, I'm not at home, a lot of his development, a lot of the lessons he has comes from his mother.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed with the guy. In his WhatsApp status, he says, everything can be done through the Lord. And that's because of the influence of his mother. I'm very honest, not from me. But the things it takes from me is the way he sees me work every day, the consistency, the effort, the resilience. And it's the same thing with me and my dad. We didn't have a lot of conversation, but I learned my discipline at work through seeing my dad do. It was a cab driver,
right?
But he's the best professional I've ever seen. in terms of a discipline, is consistency. Is, well, maybe I didn't take this much from him, but is discipline for time.
Yeah.
Never want to be late. It made me wash cars so much that I had my own car wash as well. So it's not that dads are not important, and I wanted to throw that in first for my dad so that he doesn't feel jealous, but also for us as dads. I'm not discounting us from the picture, but we have to have that silent force that complements what the mother does in the front.
Right. While you're talking about the power and the strength of a mother, and not, of course, removing the father from the picture or the mother figure. When we talk about mother, we're talking about the mother or the mother figure. It brings me to my last question about the world of women today. When you look at the world today and how women are shaping the global view and how they're shaping the decision making, the way decisions are being made today, what would you say to a young girl child watching you today who is not a mother, but they're watching you today and they hear you talk about your mom and how your mom has shaped your life and how women today are shaping the global view? What would you say to that young girl who's watching today?
I maybe because of the, let's say, I don't know, the DNA or the build or whatever it is with women. First, I feel women are more disciplined than men. And somebody said, some very funny things on social media showing why women live longer than men. Because women are very calculated. They don't take silly risks like us men, very focused and intentional on what they do. So women do make good leaders. And it's very good to see that change is happening. A few years ago, not even a few years ago, sometime in the past, even in a place like America, women could not vote. They were not allowed to speak in public. Right. Now that's completely changed. And that's good for the progress of the world. That is good for our society. And add to that, it also shows for me the strength of a woman. So if you're a young child growing up, that ambition, they're not mutually exclusive. So, and that's where the strength of a woman comes in, because you cannot say, I want to build a career and, don't look after a family. Although in some instances, those sacrifices are made. And again, it goes back to my point, where you're at your happiest. You cannot model yourself by what the world expects of you. Just because you're a woman, you should get married and have a kid and have a family. If that's not what makes you happy, so be it. It doesn't, but again, know what you want, focus on the impact you're making. And if that's going to be through your job, do that. For my mom, I believe if she's sitting back, looking back, she's made an impact in the world through the way she's brought me up. And she will sit there and say,
my work is done.
My work is done. So how are you going to make your impact as a young child? That's the most important thing.
Well, Dunstan, before we conclude, I want to hear your thoughts on something trending like AI. And we can't leave this conversation without that particular segment. I'm keen to understand how the human side will survive this AI era where everything is faster with these tools that we get from AI.
So with AI, there's always the conversation about, is it going to replace humans? Is it going to take away jobs? The answer is probably yes. There are certain jobs that will go away. If I look at some of the things I do with some of the AI tools now. Yesterday, my daughter, did, for her mom, she did a product advert using one of the AI tools. That work would have been given to a marketing agency. So jobs will go. But what does it, even in that, I also feel there is still opportunity, because I say this because while we are talking about AI now, few years ago, it was when Excel came out and people, Excel is there, people are going to use the job, but people still have their jobs. AI are still using Excel today. So the trick is, for number one, and I like the way Simon Sinek put it, machines are never going to replace humans, because there is never going to be, to your point, that emotional side of artificial intelligence. So there's a book I was reading. It should be co-intelligence, not just artificial intelligence. And for us, in the workspace, career, how do you make yourself relevant in this era? That's the most important thing. Because you're going to need somebody to use that. I've used, different AI tools, but I use them to co-create, not to replace what I used to do. So it will be there. There was a time we were talking about, crypto, blockchain, all of this, and you think the world is going to end tomorrow, nobody's going to have anything to do. But it's created opportunity for people to have jobs. Tomorrow, this evening, I have a meeting with a very young lady who's I got to know her through VP Yolanda, by the way. She's made a career for herself because she's mastered AI, and she can teach people like us how to make our lives more efficient through AI. But I said that because in the era of AI, you will still have a job if you train yourself to be relevant in. That's all that matters. Am I relevant in the time? And that's why I talk about developing yourself. So develop yourself to be relevant in the period of AI, you will have a job.
Being adaptable.
Yeah. So audience, please stay relevant. So Giselle, I think this man is full of wisdom. If we keep having this conversation.
We need extra time of the Yellow podcast, or maybe have his own podcast.
Yeah, but thank you so much, Dunstan, for sharing your story. This book is really amazing, and other books that you wrote. So, Giselle, Dunstan is full of wisdom, and if we keep having this conversation, I don't think we'll end.
We'll go all day.
Yeah, but we want to thank you. Do you have anything to say before we conclude?
So, maybe before you, I'm sorry to cut you short, but before you even say any concluding remarks, please tell us that you're writing another book. And tell us about it, if it's not a secret.
You are a mind reader, because I was going to close with the fact that, first of all, I would say I have a few book ideas that I'm working on. And again, that's why I said the focus for me is, who am I becoming? I want to become a writer, not just publish books. So one of the books I'm working on is what I will leave as my closing remarks, which I've used to teach in a lot of forums. One of them was a group of accountants in Kenya invited me in December to be the keynote speaker in their anniversary event. Now, the next book I'm working on, I call it the Power Model, POWER. And if I'm leaving this podcast, it's a message I want to use to give to MTNers and any young person who is trying to develop a career. You look at Dunstan, he came from Sierra Leone, had nothing, is now a CFO, is traveling a lot of places. The Power Model helps. And in that Power Model, the P for me means plan your career. Jim Won says, if you don't plan your career, somebody else will plan it for you. So you have to have a plan. Most people come to work every day and waiting for, I need the CFO to promote me. But what's your plan? 5 years from now, what do you want to do? What do you want your career to look like? If you don't have a plan, it's not going to happen. So that's number one. Number two, you need to have a team. So my O is organize your team. My team is my family. My wife is my biggest cheerleader. You need to have a cheerleader in your team that tells you, I believe in you. You can do this. Because to your point, there are times when you're going to be low. Who is there to support you? That's part of your team. Who encourages you? Who is your mentor? Who is your coach? Those are the team that you need to organize so that you know, I have a mentor who I can go to ask questions. Then the W in power is working on yourself. I never let that go, because you can't. Somebody said most of us we think we have 10 years experience, but we have 1 year experience of doing the same thing for 10 years. That's a big mistake, because you're not working on yourself. You come every day, you are doing the same thing as you have 10 year experience. No, you don't. You have 1 year experience of doing something for 10 years.
Amazing.
That's a difference. So what are you doing working on yourself? What have you learned this year? What can you do this year that you couldn't do last year? Working on yourself. What time are you dedicating? I tell people, if you it's very small, even if you put 10 minutes a day to read 2 pages, in a year you would have read a book. You would have developed yourself. So what are you doing to work on yourself? And then the E is elevating your emotional intelligence. You have to have that understanding of yourself, because if you can't lead yourself, you cannot lead somebody. And lastly, it's our resilience. Life is going to knock you hard no matter what. All of us has gone through those lows. I've gone through difficult lows in my life. But building that resilience, who is around you? How do you bounce back from failure? You have to make yourself strong. You don't take a setback as the end of the journey, but you take it as a lesson to move on to the next step. So plan your career, organize your team, work on yourself, elevate your emotional intelligence, and have the strength to rebound from failure. That's what I'll leave with whoever is watching, MTNers in Rwanda, anywhere you are. Watch out for that book, it's coming next.
Wow, it's amazing. Speaking of books, as MTNers, we're very lucky that we do have platforms to read. So we have the ULearn platform.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of rich knowledge that you can pick from there. So if you can access, if you're watching from MTN or any MTN around the world, do reach out to your ULearn platform and read. Get all the knowledge you can develop yourself.
For free, actually.
For free.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Looking
Dunstan.
forward to your wonderful book.
Thank you.
This was really great. Thanks a lot for the great story. I think we have so many key takeaways, but now we'll leave it to our listeners or anyone who's watching. Please leave a comment. Tell us what you learned from this conversation. And to the authors or someone, if you're writing a book, please make sure you tell us. We can give you a spotlight and we talk about it. So for now, thank you, Dunstan.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
Thanks
Giselle.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is Yellow Talk.